today's podcast episode, I would like to introduce to you a woman who is passionate and driven in educating her audience regarding personal finance, entrepreneurship, and adulting how-tos. She has been a YouTuber since 2019. This is a medium where she shares the lessons she has learned throughout the years into one place. Without further ado, let us welcome Miss Charm from Ready2Adult Ph. Hi. Nice
Hello.
meeting
Hi,
you.
Abby. Hi to the listeners.
Okay, so I would like to thank you for gracing us with your presence. Today we will talk about the why, what, and hows. So are we ready to start?
Yes, game.
So for my first question, so just to start the day, uh, what made you interested in the financial industry?
Okay, that's a very interesting question because if to those who don't know me, I'm actually a licensed architect. I studied architecture in college. So parang we almost never discussed anything about finance or business. But I think finance, because I was such an entrepreneur, like ever since I was a kid, I was selling anything I could get my hands on. I was naturally parang good with money. So I thought that was, true to everyone. But as I grew older, started a business, and my businesses pala are all surrounded to small businesses, like startups, ganon. So I run Sugbo Mercado and Pop District Bazaar here in Cebu, which provides platforms for startups. And there I saw that even if you have great products or services, there's still a tendency that their businesses fail. And that's not the product or services fault anymore, but because they lack the basic financial literacy that they could apply to themselves and to their business. So to give you an idea, a lot of startups, this is a very common startup mistake, but they take all their profits for themselves, spend it on things that are not going to make their businesses grow. So that's when I shifted my focus to advocating for entrepreneurship, to advocating for financial literacy first, and then entrepreneurship through side hustles. So that's how I got into the world of finance, if you would say. Like all my other businesses, I have different partners, and the money side seems to gravitate towards me. I have a lot of opinions when it comes to finance in our business and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think I didn't really intend it to happen, but everything just fell into place because of my past experiences.
Oh, so you mentioned architecture, right? Did what you learned from college, siguro, did you apply it to the financial industry or may chance ba na nagamit mo yung mga natutunan mo doon?
Okay, when it comes to the technical skills from architecture, I definitely use them. Kasi if you notice, when you're starting a business, especially if it has a physical branch or parang office, ganon, somehow I really applied it. Like in my businesses, I tried to co-design it with our architect. And the thing that I would say that was more useful is really the discipline. Um, if you're familiar with the world of architecture in college, parang 'di ba, they're known for like sleepless nights and hard projects and mga ganon. So I feel like that discipline I really got to bring it with me through business and starting this YouTube channel, 'di ba? Kasi the thing there is like you are being exposed to so many uncomfortable situations and things that you have to navigate your way around and to logically fix things, which is very related to finance. It's very logical when you approach architecture and design. So in that way, yeah, I did. Even that's why when people ask me if I regret taking up architecture? Would I have wanted to take up business or finance instead? I really say that I don't regret it kasi like it has, I think, unconsciously and or subconsciously, it has made me a better entrepreneur, financial literacy advocate, and even YouTuber. Diba? Walang tulog. So yeah.
Okay, so how did you know naman na this is the industry you're willing to work for?
Yeah, like I mentioned, I didn't really, but I guess when I discovered, I was kind of naive about it, that finance, and I didn't really think that there were people that were bad at finance, until I experienced it myself. Right after college, you're already working or you have a business and it was doing well. So parang there's a culture shock na you're receiving your own money, not as an allowance to your parents. And I definitely experienced lifestyle inflation. I ate out a lot, I traveled a lot, and those are really my two um, weaknesses when it comes to money in my early 20s. So I realized that that's a major problem a lot of people in the world are facing. So that's why I dedicated my time to learning about it first and then sharing it to other people. So it has really been I've decided that really want to help people be better with personal finances, because nobody's really gonna help them if they're not gonna help themselves, and people are not gonna share the values that personal finance and financial literacy has. So yeah, since it's not in our schools, so yeah.
So moving forward to what you just said, what is your motivation into creating your content in YouTube?
uh okay, so parang there's a lot of motivation. Number one, it really motivates me that hearing people's stories that, they're handling their personal finances better because of the content I make, or they've made their first investment, they've bought their first car, their first home, or even just, getting to save a portion of their income a month. That's really big already for me, because I feel like I'm making an impact in people's lives that I feel like is such a big statement, parang it's so, for me it's such a big statement to be able to say that somehow I'm making an impact on people's lives in a good way, 'di ba? So I'm adding value to people's lives, and I guess that would be my number one motivation. I would be lying if I wouldn't say that, the fact that I'm earning from this, from doing something that I love doing and is impacting people's lives in a positive way. I would be lying if I said it's not a good perk. It is an amazing perk that you can be paid to do what you love. So that's definitely part of it. But I started this with, 1 year of not earning anything. So I don't think it would stop me from doing it still if I wasn't in the position I am today. So yeah.
What motivated you to start? Kasi 'di ba marami na yung YouTuber, tapos yung iba nahihiya pa. Like for
Yeah.
aspiring YouTubers, what would you say to them?
Okay, so for me, it really helped that I knew what I was gonna talk about. So I knew that I wanted to talk about finance and business and adulting stuff in general. If you're someone who wants to go into content creation and your motivation is plainly earning from it, it's gonna be harder, because I always say this even with other businesses. If your motivation is just money, you are gonna get there, but it's not sustainable. Kasi parang when you hit bumps in the road and parang there are stuff that are hard. You wouldn't want to go through that hardship just for money, diba? That's not, as humans, money is usually not enough to feed our longing for something more. So I think it's really important to know what are your other motivations other than earning, diba? I know it looks so glamorous when YouTubers, flaunt what they have and how much they make, but when again you're doing something that you might not be passionate about, that you might hate doing, diba? Because when I went into it, I was so naive, thinking this is gonna be easy, just talking to a camera and ganon. But when I actually did it, conceptualizing a video or a podcast, actually filming or recording it, editing it, plus promoting it afterwards, it's not easy pala. Like, these YouTubers and content creators it makes sense why this is their full-time job, and it makes sense why the industry is willing to pay them what they're getting, because it's a real job. So if you're someone who wants to do content creation, start doing it because you're passionate about it and because you want to do it and you enjoy doing it. And then perk na lang yun if you get paid for it. Diba? So,
Oh, okay. Na-inspire sana ka doon, joke. Okay. What would you tell naman your 20-year-old self?
okay. Okay, so I'm 27 right now. So 7 years ago, I think it was when I graduated college. So, because I was not part of the K to 12 pa. And I feel like my 20-year-old self, I feel like my 20-year-old self, honestly, I would tell her to keep doing what she was doing. Because whatever right or wrong thing I did back then, it led me to where I am today. So I feel like that's really important. And if I'm not saying naman I did everything perfectly. Of course, there's so many things I did wrong and so many things that, you would think I would regret doing. But if it brought me to where I am today, I'm all for it. But for those people who are still in college, the thing that I would recommend the most, which I really thank my past self for doing, is really putting myself out there. So not in terms of social media, but grabe, I was so into organizations. I ran for the political parties at school, yung student council, I ran for that. I joined organizations outside school. And it really gave me not just the network to know so many people that are, I got to tap them in my different projects today. But also, parang it really brought me out of my comfort zone, meeting people, solving problems in school events. Yeah, that's really something I encourage everyone to do. Like, of course, academics is always going to be important. It's always going to be a big part of your student life, but it doesn't stop there. Instead of using up your free time, consuming content, or making gala if it was already allowed, it would be nice also to allocate a portion of your time to schoolwork, school organizations. Yeah.
Let's proceed to the money questions naman. So, okay, number 1.
Sige.
What is your best purchase?
Okay, so my best purchase, and this might be parang, really, does she know what she's talking about? But it's actually my car. So I know a car is not really seen as an asset, or it's a depreciating asset, if I will correct myself. But I really got my car for a really good deal. I got it repossessed, meaning in-embargo ng bank from the previous buyer. So banks typically sell that at a really low price just to break even, para wala silang nawalang pera. And I'm really proud of that, because I think in the Philippines, parang if you talk about secondhand cars, parang people are like, secondhand car, parang ang pangit naman nun, hindi social, parang ganon. But, that's the exact point. Like, it's a depreciating asset, so you shouldn't pay premium for it, diba? So, I was really proud that I was able to do that because I was so, if I didn't do my research, I would have just bought a brand new car. And I think I made a video about that. And I said that I saved almost 150,000 pesos because of that decision. And my car, 3 years later, my car is still fine. It takes me to places. It doesn't have to be a fancy car. It's a Toyota Vios, diba? It's the most basic car. But yeah, I'm really glad I bought that.
Let's move on naman sa worst purchase.
Okay. So worst purchase. This is harder. I did a video on 7 best and worst purchases, but okay, this is an example of a worst purchase. I bought a chair. I bought a computer chair, like a really cheap computer chair, just because I didn't think that, first of all, I didn't think that I would be sitting almost the whole day because of lockdown. I used to be always, out and about in meetings and office, ganon. So when I bought this chair, it's the same reason why I buy a lot of things, because they're cheap, diba? As I said earlier with my car, I bought it because it was cheap but reliable. When you buy cheap stuff kasi, the tendency is you're gonna keep on buying because they're either uncomfortable, either they're not working properly, or madaling masira, diba? So this is an example of that situation. It's not always, because I really believe that there are affordable quality versions of expensive branded things. But in this case, it was a worse purchase kasi it's uncomfortable. It gave me backaches, tapos it keeps sinking. Yung parang pag mabigat ka, or like it keeps sinking, diba? So that's an example. If I would give another example, bags. I used to buy like bags like every 4 to 6 months kasi nasisira sila because I have so much stuff. But once I bought one quality, a little bit more expensive bag, I didn't have to buy na for, I think, more than 3 years na. I didn't have to buy, diba? So when you add up all the things that I bought before na cheaper nga, pero I had to buy several times versus this that I'm sure it's gonna last me, 5 to 10 years siguro, it's more sulit, diba? So I think that's a common mistake that we do when we shop.
So you consider yourself as a frugal person, ganun?
Honestly, no. Not so frugal, but more practical. I have to admit, I spend naman talaga on things that really gives me happiness, and I really enjoy. Like I mentioned earlier, eating out. There's something wrong talaga sometimes with how I decide, kasi I would rather spend for, let's say, a 1,000 peso meal compared to a 1,000 peso top. That you would argue a top, it can last you a long time, di ba? You can, it's something that can last you years. Pero parang ako, I don't really like spending money on clothes kasi. So parang I would much rather enjoy eating out, spending quality time with friends and family, ganon. So practicality and choosing what are my non-negotiables, like enjoying a nice meal is a non-negotiable for me. So parang ganun. Choosing your battles lang when it comes to allocating your money.
Okay, so nasabi mo na you like to treat yourself. So in terms naman, kunyari, paano mo mini-measure kapag I could treat myself like travel, yung before pandemic, or parang I could treat myself with a new laptop, kunyari. When do you think, paano mo wini-weigh as a person yung rewards, ganun?
Yeah. Okay, so like I said earlier, I have like parang non-negotiables and negotiables for me. So my non-negotiables are like yun, eating out or sometimes traveling. But some of the parang um, negotiables for me are, for example, tech and gadgets or clothes or decor, room decor, parang ganon. So those are things na parang my mentality is mostly pag hindi nasisira at parang pag kaya pa, gagamitin ko pa
Mm,
yan.
okay.
So that's where my frugality comes in my parang negotiables. Parang if I can live without it, why do I need it? Kasi my mentality kasi dyan is parang if I make myself accustomed to having nice things, I'm always gonna want nicer things. 'Di ba? But if I make myself accustomed to just having what I have now with the with some luxuries of eating out, ordering coffee outside, parang ganon. I'm not gonna keep on craving for the nicer things in life. Parang ganon, if that makes sense. So parang I wanna limit my lifestyle inflation as much as possible. Kasi I want I'm more of a future thinking kind of person. Parang I'm okay, not really enjoying things now. Not naman din suffering ha. I don't encourage people to make themselves suffer by not buying things or spending things for what they like. But parang if I'm okay naman ngayon, I don't need these luxuries kasi I want to retire comfortably. I want to be able to travel freely in the future without a budget or parang ganun. So it's more of that mentality that keeps me from buying whatever and parang YOLOing right now. So yeah.
Ayun, you mentioned kanina, di ba, nung sabi ko, yung sa 20 years old self, na naka-experience ka ng lifestyle inflation. So,
Yeah.
when did you wake up from all of that? Parang, I should think about my future more. When was it?
It was okay. So I was already working, or like I had already a business, and it was doing okay. It was doing well for 2.5 years. But when I look at my bank account, it was when I was deciding to buy a car. I was looking if I could afford it. Tapos when I looked at my bank account, parang it didn't move that much from 2 years ago, which is really bad, di ba? Kasi you've been working for 2 years, but parang you have nothing to show for it. And it's not even because of responsibilities at the time. I'm a breadwinner right now, so I know and accept that there are gonna be things and there are gonna be money that I cannot save because I have responsibilities to my parents, to my family. But that time, I knew that my money was just really going to things like eating out and traveling, which honestly, I love doing those things. But when we look at the broader things of life, I don't really need them. Diba? I can live without them. I can live with eating and cooking eating home cooked meals, and I can live with traveling locally less frequently, diba? But that's really when the wake up call came in. It's just I really felt bad that I didn't get to save much, and to think that I was earning already, and I'm more or less in the same place I was right after college. Diba? How bad is that to listen to? But that's when I scavenged the whole internet for personal finance stuff. Like, why am I not saving money? Why am I bad at handling my money? And that's when I was introduced to the whole world of personal finance and the community. And it was such an eye opener. It's when also like I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, which is for me, it's a must read for first timers or people who have no idea about personal finance yet. It's a really great mindset shift to have read that book. Yeah.
So, now you learned about personal finance. Now, how would you describe yourself? Are you a trader or are you more of an investor?
Okay. I think I'm a little bit of both. I do um I think I'm more like 70% investor and then 30% trader. So I definitely look at it for the long term. I talked about this in my channel, how I plan to retire by 45, which is 17 years from now. But a lot of people get shocked when I say that because it's so ingrained in the culture of a lot of not just Philippines but all over the world that we should retire at 60, 65, ganon, di ba? So when you have this young girl talking about retiring at 45, parang ano yung sinasabi niya. So I have that goal. So definitely I'm more of an investor right there. But at the same time, I love trading in the stock market, in the both the local and international stock market because I love learning. Parang it gives you another set of skills and values kasi I'm more of a swing trader. So it gives you, patience, tapos, it tells you not to panic because everything's gonna be okay. And really, it applies to life then. Like everything I'm stressing out right now, like things that I'm worried about, when you look at it in a parang zoomed out, parang in my whole life, parang walang kwenta yung mga things that I'm worrying about now. So it gives you perspective, everything's gonna be okay. So parang my life lessons din ako nakukuha being a swing trader and I love that.
I agree. Daming matututunan, lalo na mga emotional roller coaster na yan.
Diba?
Yeah.
And it's a life skill. Like, you don't realize it. Parang it's just trading, stocks lang, numbers, ganun. But it's really life skills then that you get.
Yeah, you get to control your emotions, ganun. Okay, let's proceed to the next one. So what is your favorite investment?
This is a bit tricky. Okay, so I think one of my favorite investments is definitely the stock market. But I'm gonna cheat a little here and say that real estate is up there with stock market. I really love both real estate and stocks. And in my video that I talked about how I plan to retire at 45, it's really a mix of both. Because the real estate market, especially in the Philippines, I would say is parang it's not so overvalued, especially where I am in Cebu. It's still very undervalued and stuff like that. And you always hear people say like, real estate is always gonna go up. So parang tie for me si stock market and si real estate. The big difference there is that real estate for me is definitely much parang riskier. Kasi especially if you have, of course it's riskier, di ba? Kasi you have so much money tied down to one property, unlike the stock market that, for the same amount, you can diversify it among so many different companies. So I guess stock market wins if I had to choose a favorite. So yeah. Parang I have two kids na parang I don't want to play favorites kasi yung isa parang they will get jealous.
Ayun. No, next question. What do you do when you're burnt out? I heard na you have a lot of work, right? May dalawa kang company.
Yeah.
Tapos may YouTube ka pa. So, how do you handle everything?
Okay. Yeah. Definitely. Kasi to give you context, right now, I think I have 5 registered companies. But other than the 5 registered companies, like for example, YouTubing as one business, there's a lot of avenues where I can earn from that. So parang it's a different business on its own. And I'm not here to brag about it. I'm just giving you context because I have to be honest, I am a little bit burnt out right now. And I haven't been producing content consistently as what I have wanted to, or what I have set initially at the beginning of the year. And I think it's because, it's the first quarter burnout when you set all your goals in January and you want to achieve all of them by March. That's what I feel right now. So honestly, talking about it helps. Talking about it to other people and sitting back and realizing, like what I said earlier, like realizing that these problems in the long run, they're gonna be nothing, diba? So that's why I try not to worry about them. I try not to overthink things because I'm an overthinker when it comes to that. So yeah, definitely I'm still on my way to being better at handling all of these things because, for example, I think it's because of YouTube is one of the newer things but more demanding things that just came into my life mid last year. That's when I took YouTube seriously during the pandemic. So it's definitely something new, and sitting back and examining all the things that are going on in your life, learning how to say no, which is really really hard for me. Um, yeah, those are the things that I am trying to do now. And maybe which I am going to, I haven't done it yet, but I'm gonna try to set a schedule that's not jamming everything. Like, hindi parang jam-packed na schedule na parang impossible to do. I'm gonna try to make a schedule that's parang medyo maluwag, that has room for mistakes and procrastinating, and it has room for unexpected things that might happen. So that's what I'm gonna try to do now.
For people who's starting a business or is in the place ngayon na parang nasa gitna ng business, what would you recommend what is one lesson that you would tell them that it will benefit them for the long run?
This is when I would, because a lot of people ask me, like, when is the right time to have a partner or have a partner come into my business? And really, it's when you see potential in your business and you want to grow. Kasi my other businesses are physical businesses kasi like I run like a food market, diba? Like in Manila, it's like a Mercado Central. Right now, we handle like 70 or 80 tenants for across our branches. So parang I have partners, and it really helps that they control the other sides of the business. I handle the finances of the business, and when you're talking about like spaces, because I'm an architect, but it really helps also to have valuable employees. And I know as a startup you may not be even thinking about employees, but just to give you context on why I have 5 businesses, it's because I have employees and partners that I trust, that work well with me. And it's not always gonna be working well, but we work well together in a way that we respect each other. And when we have when we have disagreements and arguments, we know where to find a middle ground. So that's just to give you context, so that you don't get parang ang hirap naman yung 5 businesses, ganun. But like for example with Ready2Adult, it's all me. I'm a one-woman show, and when it comes to like decisions that I have to do, or even with Ready2Adult, I have to make the decisions myself, or with my other businesses, there are people who rely on the decision making that I make. It really helps that you don't decide on the things that you don't micromanage. That's the word I'm looking for. But you don't micromanage. So for example, I don't have to decide anymore if I am going to I'm not gonna decide anymore on their scheduling. We have employed a manager that can do their scheduling para yung shifting nila maganda. Parang ganon. We empower our employees to make the everyday decisions, so that I can focus on the bigger decisions. Kasi as an entrepreneur, a thing that happens is decision fatigue. But every day, that's basically what you do. You make decisions after decisions. So you have this decision fatigue. So set aside the things that you can to someone else. Even in Ready2Adult, I'm already considering, and I've been talking to people who I might hire part-time, so that I don't have to okay, I manage a Facebook group with 20,000 people. I manage that almost entirely by myself. So 50 to 100 posts a day that I really go through one by one. But I'm thinking like someone else can do this for me, so that I can focus on the more value adding stuff, which is making my own content, replying to people's problems that they really, take the time to reach out to me for. So it's really just about managing your energy and where you put it. Don't try to do everything. You're not going to be able to do everything. That's what leads to burnout, which is what I'm experiencing right now. And what I'm trying to accept, that okay, I need help. I need help to other from other people. And if it's something that's causing you so much stress, but it's not earning you so much money, and it's a business, diba? Your main priority there is to make money. So when you go into business, you're there to make money, diba? It's not a charity. So if it's not something that can make you enough money to hire someone else, then you might need to rethink some things, diba? If it's too much of a hard work, I'm not saying that, starting a business doesn't entail hard work. It definitely does. But yeah, so the one thing that I would tell potential business owners there, people who want to start a business, is to start. Parang I know it's not mind blowing at all, but people are so afraid to take that first step. And starting a business doesn't have to be buying all your supplies, setting up your website or setting up. It has, you can start by researching what other people has done, researching how to do a business, how to start a business, researching about product quality and design, and all these stuff that doesn't really have to you don't have to shell out money just yet. So yes, start by researching and asking people what they think about your idea and stuff like that. So yeah, I know it's parang ang dami kong sinabi. Dami kasi din fully packed question yun. So yeah, I hope I answered.
Yeah, I like what you said na it's okay to ask for help, and it applies to a lot of things.
Yeah.
Ngayon. For my last question, so why do you think financial content is what people should focus on? How would you convince our viewers that financial content is what we should focus on today?
First of all, I feel like finance or personal finance is something that everyone has to deal with, but it's not directly taught in schools. Or at least it wasn't. I know that it's starting to be integrated in the K to 12 already, but I don't know how. But you and me, people in our age, it's definitely not really in school yet. So it is our responsibility to go out there and learn about it. Diba? There's so many content online. It's not just me who are making content about personal finance. Diba? So in a way, it is our, for now, I'm not saying it shouldn't be. Ideally, it is our society and government's responsibility to educate people about personal finance. But for now, if you're not, it's your responsibility to go out there and learn about it, because if you're outside school already, you're not going to be forced to learn anymore, diba? So it's so easy to get sucked in a loophole where you're just watching mindless content, diba? And I definitely watch nonsense content myself. It's not that it's bad, but it should be limited, diba? Because we're watching it for entertainment purposes, and we as humans, we're not built to just consume entertainment. We are built to create, to produce, diba? To do things in general. So when you opt out from imagine a society where everyone just consumes and nobody creates, then there's nothing to consume anymore, if that makes sense. So we have to continue on learning. That, for me, that's the best investment. When we're not talking about financial investments like we were earlier, like stocks and real estate, for me the best investment is learning. Kasi nobody can take that from you. Like the learnings that you have, you're gonna carry that on throughout your career, throughout your business, and constantly improving your skills, whether it be starting a business skill, or like learning about personal finance skills, or even cooking, or learning to fix things around the house. Those are things that are in your arsenal. And going through life, you have all these bullets that you can use to whatever challenges may come your way. So yes, prioritizing learning about personal finance, for sure, I am all for that, but also never stop learning in general. Yeah.
So, any words for our listeners before we end?
Yeah, so like to go off what I said earlier, like parang it's so easy to not want to pick up a book ever, to not want to listen to any educational content ever after college because we've been doing it for 15, 20 years, diba? But don't stop learning. That's one thing. And then if you want to learn more about personal finance, business, or generally adulting stuff like buying a car, grocery shopping, managing your budget in the household, then feel free to check out my YouTube channel. That's Ready2Adult Ph. That's Ready number 2 Adult Ph. And yeah, I hope that you get to learn something in that channel.
Thank you for gracing us with your presence. I'm so thrilled that you got to answer my personal questions about your life and life lessons in general. So that's it for Miss Charm from Ready to Adult PH. Please don't forget to check her out and subscribe to her channel as well. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.